Today we're gonna talk about top 5 things pitchers should be doing to become better athletes. It's gonna help them throw harder. Make sure you stick around for the last one because it is the most important one. My name is John Antigua. Let's dive in. Over time, we've noticed how pitchers are starting to become very robotic, and it's because we're overthinking kind of mechanics, which is very, very important. That is one of the biggest things that translates to the throw itself. But we've also seen the guys that come straight from the outfield, those position players that are straight athletes, and they grab a ball and they're either 90 or low 90s or even mid 90s, just because they're really, really good athletes, right? They just grab the ball, they're not thinking, the body just self-organized, and they just have somewhat efficient throw. That just speaks volumes to how important it is to be a good athlete. So I want to dive into these things, understand that these are different, right, from the throw itself. When we turn in the throw, we're trying to talk about becoming a better driver. Like, I have whatever car I have, how efficient am I driving that car? And we're talking about these top things to help you become a better athlete. We're just reinforcing this engine, right? The hardware of the vehicle. And then with the skill, where it comes to learning how to throw, your ply routine, your catch play, right? That's more of learning how to be a driver. So understand that there are 2 different things. So we have to make a note of that first. Thing number 1 pitchers should be doing to become better athletes is sprinting. In the industry, we see that pitchers don't sprint enough. By that, I mean, like, I see guys that don't sprint at all. Having some sort of volume of sprinting throughout the week where you're sitting 90-95% intensities at least once or twice a week is going to be very beneficial. Reasons why is if we do some sort of sprinting, the forces apply and the speed at which sprinting is produced is very similar to how it is in pitching. It's very, very quick and explosive. And the best way you can express that in a very general point of view is through sprinting. It's the fastest thing you can do. So we could break those 2 things down into subcategories of resistant sprinting and top hand sprinting. Resistant sprinting is going to be more of teaching the body that horizontal drive back as we're moving forward, kind of the ability to propel yourself forward. I mean, ideally, you want to do those with your sled or some hills. Either one works, right? And it doesn't look the same, but there's similar things happening inside the body when we're on the mound, right? When you watch some resistant sprinting, there's horizontal force where, like, the hip is going from flexion to extension, right? The glutes, the hamstrings, the quads are firing really, really explosively. Same thing is happening in your drive leg when you're on the mound. Now there's a rotational component as well, but there's the same kind of impulse that you're driving back. You're going into extension as you rotate on the mound. So it's very similar as to those of any sort of acceleration, sprint, or any sort of hill or resistant sprinting. In that same subcategory, we talk about top hand sprinting, and we break those 2 things down because they're attacking different things. So we talked about resistant sprinting, attacking more of the horizontal. The top hand speed is going to attack how much vertical force you're producing into the ground, which is going to be slightly similar to what you're doing with your lead leg when you're landing, right, into that block. So in top hand sprinting, you could produce up to 6 to 8 times body weight in regards to force into the ground, which is way higher than anything else you could do in the weight room. Making sure you have a good dosage of yardage throughout the week that can teach your body to improve those qualities. So when you go into the mount, your hamstring and that entire posterior chain is able to retract and pull down, just like it's happening. Like when you're sprinting, you're running, right? You actually hit the ground and then that propels you forward. It's the same thing we're doing with throwing, but now there's that rotational component being involved. Thing number 2 is agility drills. And when we're talking about agility drills, we're not talking about ladder drills, we're talking about like real agility work. We're talking like an aggressive change direction with force, with intent. You're gonna notice every time we wanna make an adaptation to the body, intent needs to be up the most highest priority. So if you're going at 50-60%, your body's not gonna receive a stimulus strong enough to make a change. Your body's not gonna care. So understanding if you give the body a potent enough stimulus, it's going to adapt to that thing, it's gonna become better, and as a byproduct to make you a better athlete. In this case, change direction like a 5-10-5, the L drill are gonna be good enough to teach you, 1, the technical aspect of like what actually change direction is, but 2, the ability to have energy go from one way to another, which is the same thing that happens on the mound, because on the mound, you're going from one direction with that drive leg, and then you're trying to stop it in the other leg to propel the torso forward, right? And it's gonna give you an idea of what the center of mass is doing as well. So if you're doing a 5-10-5 or any sort of agility drill, and you're going to pivot and a center of mass goes over that leg that's pivoting, your torso is just gonna continue yielding towards that side, and you're gonna be unable to transfer your energy from one way to another. Same thing happens when you're throwing. If you're going to throw and your torso goes over that lead leg as you're landing, your body's ability to redirect that force to propel you forward towards home plate is gonna be difficult, so your body's gonna yield. It looks different, but it's the same mechanism that's being applied. Understanding where your center of mass needs to be to be able to change direction efficiently is one of the biggest things here. So if your body is able to make those quick transitions on those agility drills, when it comes to the mound, your body's like, all right, like it's the same thing. It's just instead of me pivoting and going back, I'm stopping and creating the block, which is why it's called the lead block, to redirect my torso where it needs to go. Number 3 is going to be plyometrics, and we're going to put plyometrics in a big umbrella because we want to categorize all sorts of plyometrics where there is a change of direction in regards to forces. It could be you going from vertical to vertical, horizontal to vertical, vertical to horizontal. So an example could be death drop or a drop jump where you're going down and you're teaching the body the ability to go from one direction to another. Like we mentioned before, the same thing is happening in your agility drills as happening on the mound. But this is more of a general component where like, hey, let's teach your body how to do it in a very simplistic fashion to become a better athlete. So when you go on the mound, your body knows like, oh, again, same principles, it's just slightly different. Another one could be, let's say a broad jump to a vertical jump where you go from a broad and then be trying to like all that horizontal force, stop it, and then go straight up into a jump. It could be a skater, so you want to get more like on that frontal plane where you're going like skater jump. And then from there, how much can I go into jump into a box or any sort of vertical force, or horizontal where you're going from, you know, a skater to another explosive skater. Again, the goal with all these is to have intent to be really, really high because that's what's going to drive that stimulus for the body to make a change. Number 4 is going to be med ball drills. And for this one, we've seen pitchers around the world that just do med ball drills from a mechanical point of view. This one is going to be more of like pick a drill that you feel like you could drive output to. It might be a scoop toss, it might be a shot put, it might be a granny toss overhead, or you're trying to drive something that you get some external feedback and your only goal is to drive output. For example, if I choose a scoop toss to a net, I would like to have some sort of radar feedback that tells me, hey, the numbers is going up. So if I'm going to a scoop toss and I'm trying to throw as hard as I can, there's no thought in my head where like, what's my back leg doing? Or what's my lead leg doing? You just want the body to kind of like self-organize to do it as quickly as possible. So you just see the number go up, it's like, all right, that was a better rep. We want to shy away from the thinking, the being robotic, because that's where the whole process of all we're doing right now is just become a better athlete. And if you let the body just do the work and you just tell it just to give you a little bit more effort, it's going to find a way to self-organize because your brain only knows task. What is the task? Do that, and I'm just going to try to execute that. And then number 5, the most important one, is athletic throws. And when we're talking about athletic throws, we're talking like backhands as a shortstop, some sort of cutover and relay throws, but thinking this in a more sense of a time constraint. We've all seen the outfielders and the shortstops when they have some sort of time constraint. They have a player running from home to first. We see Mason Wynn, for example. He just got his ground ball. He sees the guy's almost making his first base, and then you just see how the mechanics are almost flawless, right? The rotation of the back hip is perfect. The block is super efficient. The torso is stacked, and then the arm just follows through in a very smooth fashion. But he's not thinking about all these. He's trying to get the guy out. It's this task that the body has where like, hey, we have to get this guy out and we have to do it in the most efficient and quickest way. So putting that time constraint into your body with some sort of athletic throws is going to allow your body to self-organize. So we've also seen, for example, O'Neal Cruz throw 105 miles per hour from the outfield when he just called the ball kind of to the side. He just shuffled throws, and the goal is to get the guy out home plate. He wasn't thinking about, you know, where the arm was at. He was just throw it to the catcher. Self-organizes, gets it there, throws it hard as you can. So finding things that can help you kind of self-organize to get the results you want. And that could be a ground balls to your glove side, and kind of spinning and throwing to those. Slow rollers in front of you, so where you have to kind of like self-organize with that. Off the wall bouncers like an outfielder. Imagine somebody's running around second to third, you want to get that guy out of third. So things that put some pressure to your body to make things happen quick, but 2 different ways that you could attack those without having to think about anything and just let things happen. So there are going to be times where you see athletes that don't do these things. These are the freaks. They're already really, really good at what they do. At the end of the day, the most important thing is being good at throwing, right? If you can throw the ball, if you're efficient at throwing, that's all that matters. We want all these things to help us become better athletes so we can have some sort of translation. If you're throwing 82 and you see Arnold Chapman just doing bodybuilding and you think that doing what Arnold Chapman does is going to help you, it might not help you. So understand, like, everybody's slightly different. What we want is to do everything that we can in our ability to make sure that we get the best results. And we've known that the better athletes out there usually throw the hardest and they're the most efficient. So doing other things is going to help you a lot. If you're questioning how much volume should you do with sprinting, how many jumps you should be doing, I think it's a perfect time to reach out to us here at Tread. We're going to pair you up with a coach that's going to tell you exactly how many reps and sets, the volume, how many times a week you should be doing things, right? Even the athletic throws that you might be prescribed are going to be the ones that you need the most to even fix some of the mechanical needs you might be working with, right? So stop guessing with your career. Just reach out to us here at Trey. We're gonna pair you up with a coach that's gonna give you everything you need, execute the program, and you're gonna get better. That's it for today, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.